Hi, my name is Alex Doty, and I'm with the Parks and Rec Heroes Fund, where we fight for more funding for Philadelphia Parks and Rec. And I am here to introduce you to our Wreck It Philly campaign, where we are asking the next mayor to ensure that we have safe and clean sites in every neighborhood in Philadelphia, and we have more recreation programming, and we grow the urban forest. So why do we have such a challenge in Philadelphia to take care of our loved parks and rec centers? And it's because we don't fund Parks and Rec as much as other cities do. So this is a chart that shows operations spending per capita per year. And in Philadelphia, we spend $50 per year on staffing and maintenance and those kinds of things. Capital, where you are building buildings, is a different category, but this is operations money. We spend $50 per person. In Chicago, they spend $177 per person. In the budget engagement process that the city engaged in last year, with a number of focus groups and a budget virtual town hall, citizens identified 4 budget priorities: public safety, racial equity, public spaces and parks, and streets and sanitation. So the citizens of Philadelphia are saying that Parks and Rec is important in our budget. And yet, when we look at how much we spend, $50 per person in the city of Philadelphia, Baltimore is spending $125 per person. When you look across the country, the 100 biggest cities in the US, the average spending is $98 per person on Parks and Rec operations, and we are spending half of that. This hurts us all, but the pain is not shared equally. Whether you're talking about differences in tree canopy that lead to heat islands, or program deserts, or just the general ways that a park is maintained and kept clean, we are all hurting by underfunding Parks and Rec. But many neighborhoods are hurting more. So mayors have traditionally thought of the Parks and Rec budget as a burden to be minimized. The folks at Parks and Rec are going to figure out how to do what they need to do with whatever amount of money we can get out of the budget. And we need to change that thinking to start thinking about how the people and the sites of Parks and Rec are an asset for the next mayor to achieve broader city goals. Goals like safe spaces in every neighborhood, more out of school time, extracurricular slots, more jobs for teens and young adults, increasing racial equity, and reducing heat islands and building resilience to climate change. In the city of Philadelphia, this system has over 300 neighborhood parks, rec centers, and playgrounds, over 400 basketball courts, over 200 tennis courts, over 600 athletic fields, over 60 community gardens, farms, and orchards, 166 miles of trails, 7 watershed parks covering 4,500 acres, and the all-important 74 pools. And all of this, every single one of these, the entirety of this, is maintained by 408 full-time staff. And that simply is not enough to take care of this vast, much loved system. When it comes to programming, we see much the same. 300 plus sites, all of those fields, courts, pools, 271 program staff, permanent year-round program staff to serve the over 300 sites that we have within our system. Not only are we hurting ourselves with having sites that are safe and clean and having more recreation programming when we understaff to this extent, but we are also contributing to the heat island effects in Philadelphia by not taking care of our tree canopy. So in leafy Chestnut Hill, when it's 80 degrees, in parts of Hunting Park, it's 102 degrees. And that can be mitigated by tree canopy. But we have a huge challenge. We have a 23,500 tree backlog when it comes to pruning and removal. This picture here is from the same neighborhood in Hunting Park that gets to 102 degrees when it's 80 degrees in Chestnut Hill. When we don't take care of our street trees, people will not plant them because they do not trust the city to take care of their street trees because, of course, we aren't. So this is the background. And now we want to turn to the next mayor and say, what can you do for Parks and Rec? And in conversations with the over 200 Friends of Parks groups, recreation advisory councils, in conversations with the various nonprofit partners of Parks and Rec, in conversations with rec leaders and other staff at Parks and Rec, and in conversations with some of our elected leaders, we've come up with a list of questions that we want to have the next mayor answer. And what we'd like to get from you is your thoughts on what are the most important questions that we've posed, and have we missed anything? Are we not asking questions that we should be asking? So if you would take a few minutes to answer our survey on the questions that we are posing to the mayor, I would appreciate it, and thank you for your time. Take care.